Most guys think the difference between rich and poor is money. They're wrong. Money is just the result. The real difference? Mindset. Most broke people have already clicked off this video. They're too brainless to face the truth. They want quick money without changing who they are. That's why they stay poor. Not because of bad luck, but because of how they think. But if you're still here, you might not have money now. But if you're hungry to learn, you already have a wealth mindset. And here's the truth. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Your thoughts don't just shape your life. They create your future. These are the 7 poverty mindsets that keep poor men poor. Renew your thoughts before they become your future. Mindset 1, the education trap. Most poor men stop learning the moment they leave school. They think a diploma equals success. It doesn't. It just proves you followed instructions. Now don't get it twisted. School has its place. It teaches the basics. It gives you a starting point. But if you stop there, you've already lost. School is a tool, not the answer. It doesn't teach you how to lead, create, or build wealth. It teaches you how to obey systems, but not how to build your own. That's the trap. Rich men saw through it. They realized real education starts when school ends. They read. They study money. They surround themselves with smarter men. They pay to learn because they know the return is freedom. But broke men, they only learn when it's free. They call every course a scam. They'll blow money on junk food, video games, and alcohol, but won't invest a single cent into their brain. Some even brag about not reading. They say stuff like, I don't do books. That's slow-witted, and it shows. God gave you a mind, but if you refuse to use it, don't cry when your life falls apart. You're not stuck because you're poor. You're stuck because you stopped learning. Even the Bible says, wise men store up knowledge, but fools think they've already arrived. That means this: a man who stops growing starts dying. And listen, God doesn't bless lazy minds. He blesses men who seek, knock, and chase understanding daily. Not just for school, not just for grades, but for life. If you're still waiting for someone to teach you everything, you've already lost. Humble yourself, pay attention, study, read, practice. Because the more you grow in wisdom, the more you'll be able to build wealth. Mindset 2, time is cheap. Just like education, poor men treat time like it's worthless. They scroll it away, sleep it away, waste it on brainless entertainment that gives nothing back. They treat life like a game, but forget it's the only one they don't get to replay. Here's the truth. Time is your most valuable currency. Not money, not connections. Time. You can lose money and earn it back, but every second you waste, dead, gone, never returning. That's why most men stay broke. They trade hours for dollars, working jobs they hate for bosses they don't respect, just to pay bills they hate. They wake up, clock in, clock out, repeat. No plan, no ownership, just digital slavery. And the saddest part, they think that's normal. Rich men think differently. They don't beg for overtime. They multiply time. They build systems. They create freedom. They ask, how can I earn even when I sleep? But poor men, they ask, how much can I get for one more hour? As if time was worthless. As if their purpose was just to survive. The Bible says, the hand of the diligent will rule, but the lazy will be put to forced labor. And that's exactly what happens. Some men are too lazy to learn, too weak to adapt. So they stay stuck, working hard but never thinking bigger. Wasting time, making other people rich. Forgetting that God gave them time to steward, not to squander. But let's be real. Most men aren't just lazy. They're programmed. We were lied to. Told, work 50 hours a week, get a stable paycheck, that's the path. So we followed like blind sheep, grinding harder, staying later, burning our time like it's infinite. But here's the truth. Your time is capped. You only get 24 hours a day. If your income depends on those hours, you're already in chains. Doesn't matter if it's $20 or $100 an hour, you're still in the same cage. Work you'll eat, stop you will starve. That's not freedom. That's slavery with a salary. And the only way out is to wake up and act. Time isn't just hours on a clock. It's a test. And if you keep wasting it, you'll spend your whole life building someone else's dream, never your own. Mindset 3, victim thinking. Some men are poor because their wallet is empty, but most are poor because their mind is poisoned. They walk around saying, "I can't win. Nothing works out for me. It's because of the economy, my past, my boss." They think life is happening to them, but the truth, life is happening because of them. That's not motivation, that's reality. Their biggest enemy isn't the system, it's their own mindset, because what you believe becomes what you live. The Bible says, "Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks." So if all you ever speak is blame, fear, and frustration, that's not just what's coming out of your mouth. That's what's been living in your heart. And it gets worse. A fool ruins his life and then blames the Lord. You make bad choices, ignore correction, live lazy and passive, then cry when life punches back. You're not unlucky, you're unaccountable. And here's the trap. Most men don't realize they think like victims. They've been weak for so long it feels normal. They call it being real, but it's just fear with a fresh coat of paint. Understand this. Your life will never rise above your mindset. And if your thoughts are infected with defeat, you'll never build anything that lasts. God gave you a brain. He gave you authority. But if you keep letting fear, doubt, and excuses run your mind, don't expect freedom to show up in your life. A man who speaks defeat is already halfway dead. So wake up. You're not a victim. You're not powerless. And you're not stuck unless you choose to be. Own your life, own your thoughts, and stop blaming everyone else for the results you refuse to change. Mindset 4, playing it safe. Most men aren't failing. They're hiding like scared little boys. They're not broke because they took a risk and lost. They're broke because they're too scared to take a real shot. They live on defense, always playing it safe, always thinking small, never playing to win. Their goal isn't wealth, it's survival. They say they want financial freedom, but their real goal? Just enough to pay the bills? That's not ambition, that's panic in disguise. Think about it like a game. What happens if you play any sport with only defense? No offense, no strategy, no risks. You lose, every time. And yet, that's exactly how most men play the money game. They don't build, they don't invest. They don't think ahead. They just duck their heads and try not to drown. Meanwhile, rich men are playing offense. They're creating. They're moving toward abundance. They're thinking 5 steps ahead. And don't twist this. It's not about gambling your life on hype. It's about courage, calculated pressure, bold execution. God doesn't reward men who bury what he gave them. The Bible says, "To the one who has, more will be given, but to the one who does nothing, even what he has will be taken away." That's what happens when you play it safe. Even the little you have gets stripped away. Because safety isn't faith, it's fear dressed up like wisdom. So ask yourself, are you building your future, or just babysitting your paycheck? Because playing it safe isn't noble, it's slow death. Mindset 5, consumer mentality. Most men don't create, they consume. All day, every day, scrolling, watching, clicking, eating, escaping. They consume content, they consume entertainment, they consume food, noise, dopamine, and distraction, then wonder why their life feels empty. Because it is. You weren't designed to sit, scroll, and suck down pleasure. You were designed to build. Poor men think like consumers. Rich men think like producers. Poor men say, "Where's the next sale? What's on Netflix? What can I take?" Rich men ask, "What can I build? How can I solve a problem? How can I deliver value?" One lives to feed their appetite. The other lives to create impact. And here's the brutal part. The system wants you addicted. Big tech, fast food, porn, entertainment, it's all engineered to keep you fat, lazy, soft, and broke. Because the more you consume, the less dangerous you become. They don't want you thinking. They don't want you creating. They want you numb, distracted, and obedient. But that's not who God made you to be. The Bible says, "A sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied." In other words, if your life revolves around consumption, you'll always feel empty. But if you live to produce, serve, and build, that's where fulfillment starts. So ask yourself, are you just taking, or are you creating? Are you spending your energy chasing comfort, or are you using it to create something that outlives you? Because a man who only consumes will always be owned. Mindset 6, pain avoidance. When people hear the word pain, they flinch. They back off. They look for comfort. They hide. It's automatic, because modern men have been trained to believe, if it hurts, avoid it. If it's uncomfortable, it must be wrong. That's why most men stay weak. They avoid the very thing that was meant to grow them. You're not stuck because life's been too hard. You're stuck because every time it got hard, you ran. You hit snooze. You quit. You made excuses. And you called it protecting your peace. No, you protected your weakness. Poor men live in pain avoidance. Every decision they make is about one thing. How do I feel better right now? They scroll. They sleep. They distract themselves with comfort. They avoid challenge, pressure, correction, and discipline. And that's exactly why they stay broke. Because wealth doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in resistance. It grows in pressure. It grows in pain. God uses pain to train kings. Satan uses comfort to trap cowards. You want to earn more? Get stronger first. You want to lead more? Get tested first. You want to handle wealth? Learn how to suffer with purpose. Because if you can't handle pressure on the inside, you'll never be trusted with abundance on the outside. The Bible says, "No discipline feels good at the time, but later it produces peace and strength for those who've been trained by it." And Jesus himself said, "In this world you will have trouble." Not maybe. You will. Pain is part of the process. And if you avoid it, you stay untrained. And if you stay untrained, you stay broke. So here's the truth. The more pain you avoid, the more purpose you forfeit. You want strength? Then suffer for it. You want power? Then bleed for it. You want wealth? Then stop acting like the process should be painless. Mindset 7, the comfort trap. This is how most men lose. Not from failure, not from lack of talent, but from comfort. They crave ease. They chase pleasure. They worship the path of least resistance. Scroll a little, snack a little, nap a little. Just 5 more minutes turns into 5 more years of wasted potential. They keep saying, "I'll start tomorrow. I just need a break. I'll go all in when I feel ready." But comfort tricks you into thinking you have time. That's the trap. And it doesn't just steal your wealth. It eats your purpose alive. Modern men are overstimulated and underbuilt. They've got high-speed Wi-Fi and low-speed discipline. They reward themselves for nothing. New shoes they didn't earn. Food that numbs, not fuels. Entertainment that entertains, but never sharpens. They say, "I deserve this." Deserve what? You haven't bled for anything yet. Comfort has become your god, and it's made you brainless, slow-witted, and pathetic. And here's the brutal truth. The devil doesn't need to attack a man who's already sedated. He just needs to keep him comfortable. Comfort is the slow poison. It softens your edge. It kills your urgency. And it makes you forget this. You're at war. Spiritually, financially, mentally. And the man who's numbing himself daily, he's unarmed on the battlefield. That's why most men never rise. They never suffer long enough to become dangerous. They tap out the moment pain shows up and wonder why power never does. The Bible says, "The lazy man craves but gets nothing. The diligent gather little by little and see increase." God doesn't reward cravings. He rewards pain-backed discipline. So let me ask you, do you scroll before you build? Do you reward yourself before you've earned it? Do you chase the feeling or chase the goal? Because if you can't delay gratification, you'll always be a slave to the system. Always the consumer, never the builder. Always broke in spirit no matter how much you earn. You weren't made for that. God didn't breathe life into you to coast through comfort. He made you to conquer. The world breaks weak minds, but a man aligned with God becomes a weapon. These 7 mindsets, they don't just slow you down, they enslave you. They keep men broke, weak, and controlled, not by chains but by lies. But the Bible says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, because freedom doesn't start with money. It starts with mindset, because God won't put kingdom wealth in the hands of a man still thinking like a slave. If this hit you, don't forget to show some love by liking the video. Subscribe for more unfiltered lessons like this. We are Unshackled Soul.